The Johannesburg Emergency Services says it has not received any incident reports from this morning's earth tremor. An estimated 4.8 magnitude tremor hit several parts of Gauteng at about 2:38 a.m. and it lasted about 20 seconds. Well, many people have taken to social media and posted videos and photos of the moment it hit, with their homes shaking, and especially this video, which was rattling, and it is totally unbelievable. And it's believed that the east of Johannesburg was the epicenter. However, this is yet to be scientifically confirmed. Now, the tremors have been felt as far as Pretoria. And staying on this story, Bongiwe, our colleague, felt the tremor, and she joins us now to share more. A very good morning to you, Bongiwe. Thank you so much for joining us. Just take us through where exactly are you, and how bad was the impact of the tremor where you are?
Good morning, Simpu, and good morning to the viewers. Well, I was at home. In fact, we had just finished with our morning devotions. And just immediately after that, it was the longest, I must say, 20 plus seconds of my life, because you felt the house shaking so much that I thought this has got to be more than a tremor, because there's a quarry that's not far from where I live. So I usually just hear blasting, and I thought maybe it could just be the tremor from the blasting from the quarry. But this was so intense that you could feel that the house, if it wasn't on, a firm foundation, I'm sure we would have seen cracks on the walls, because it was that intense. You could feel it as you were just trying to hold on to stuff. And immediately after that, I started, hearing neighbors' dogs barking and, just a whole lot of howling. And I must say, I really took to social media immediately just to see what was happening. And one even thinks about the people that were in the East Rand, because, the intensity was quite hectic. But I think that from our side, we were all just confused by what was happening, and my daughter running into my room, just asking what on earth was going on. So it was really just something that we've never felt before.
Yeah, and I've just been going through some pictures and videos on social media, and someone just posted a picture of a cell-phone building in Boksburg, and it was one of the hardest hit. It was so bad, bricks were chipping off and they were on the ground. And where I live, it wasn't as bad, but it was quite intense because, as I've mentioned to Lebo earlier on, the bedside lamps were on the floor, and dishes in the kitchen were rattling, and it was absolutely terrible. And in Boksburg, I called some of my family members who are there, and they say that there was a gaping crack on their wall. But have you heard anything from the neighbors where you are? Where you live, as to just how bad the impact of the tremor was?
So from the neighbors, nothing yet. But in my house, for example, my books just dropped on the floor, and I just also saw, because I also was, just having some tea before I went to bed, and that cup fell, it fell over. So I don't think the damage would be much where my neighbors are concerned, but definitely a lot of people, when we were looking at, the residents' WhatsApp group, they were all talking about how they just felt the intensity. And a lot of people, just assuming, because they're always so angry about the quarry, they assumed it was it, but no. And it turns out, from our side, we were very lucky, Simpiwe, that, none of us were reporting any damage. But I can tell you now, a lot of those that have animals, for example, especially the animals that are outside at night, were quite worried about, the trauma that their animals would have then suffered as a result of this, because nobody knew what was going on. So I'm seeing quite a lot of talk about, how they've had to take, some of them had to rush to take their dogs inside the house to make sure that they feel as safe, because they were also quite scared, not knowing what on earth was going on.
All right, Bongiwe, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. That was our colleague, Bongiwe, speaking to us live from Centurion.